Hi, Ayo. It's so nice to have you on the show. How are you doing today?
I'm great. Thank you so much for having me.
Beautiful. And thank you too for honoring the invite. I truly appreciate that. Thank you. Okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, Ayo. I am quite excited to have you on the show for some reasons. All right. Firstly, my interest in knowledge seeking, because I believe in order to transition from a chaotic situation to that of a beautiful one, it takes the application of knowledge, you see, quality information. And the second reason why I'm excited to have Ayo on the show is for the sake of my audience. You know, there are a lot of informations out there, and these folks trust me for quality information. That's why when I came across your profile, I was so excited because I know that after our conversation, they would send me a lot of thanks for bringing Ayo on the show. So for that reason, Ayo, let's get started with your introduction. Talk to us about your personal and professional journey. And afterwards, I've gotten some beautiful questions for you. Okay, Ayo, over to you.
My life has been a dream. It has been an encapsulation of so many things over the course of my lifetime. I have been on TV, I've traveled the world, I've been to all 50 states. I have done whitewater rafting, uh, driven in 500 cars, swam with dolphins, and achieved so much success in real estate and been profiled nationally. I do voiceovers. I've always pursued those things that I found interesting. And I found that at a certain time of my life, the most interesting that I wanted to pursue, I couldn't because I was not married and I didn't have a husband to start a family with. And that was really troubling for me. And all these things I was able to achieve in my life, all of these incredible feats, the one thing my heart's desire still wanted was a child. And according to society, I was going to have to remain childless for the rest of my life because I didn't have a mate. And I decided to challenge that and take on um, my true heart's desire and figure out what it is that I wanted to do and what I was willing to go to the lengths of the world to have accomplished. And that was being a mother. I call it my life non negotiable. It's that thing that we all have. But for me, at that particular moment, my life non negotiable was that I was not willing to leave this earth, this lifetime, without being a mother. And that set me on a huge journey of trying to become a mother on my own. I tried fertility treatments and then I decided on adoption, which was a success. And 9 years later, I'm the mother of a beautiful 9-year old daughter who has influenced me in my life journey so much that I decided to start coaching other single women on how to achieve their life non negotiable of being a mother through open adoption.
Beautiful. When you started talking, in my mind, I was like, interesting journey. And you mentioned something, that part where you said, more like questioning the status quo. I truly like people like that. People who question things. Okay, you guys believe this particular thing, but I feel like this shouldn't be the only way it should be done. And so many junks the society has taught us, and so many things the society has conditioned us to believe. So getting to listen to someone who questions some of those things, I like that. And I like that. I truly mean it. I like that.
Thank
So that's,
you. Thank you.
yeah. So that's gonna lead to the very first question. All right. Let us talk about how to. You mentioned your beautiful 9-year-old daughter. Is she nine? Okay.
Yes, she
So
is.
yeah, yeah, okay. So and how she has influenced you. I love that. I love that. So let us talk about how to adopt as a single woman and thrive. Can you talk to us about that?
Yes, I mean, to adopt as a single woman is not as difficult as it was in the past, or a single person. Single men can adopt as well. My focus just happens to be on single women because that's who I am, and that was my journey at that starting point. But adoption is a beautiful way to start a family. I think many of us might think of adoption as a last resort. And I believe that it should be one of the thoughts at your forefront. Even if you have children biologically, I think there should be a thought towards adopting a child that needs a home. There are so many children who are fatherless, motherless, who need families, whose parents are unresourced, under-resourced, and need help and assistance. So there are various levels of adoption you can go for, but the kind of adoption that I am espousing specifically is open adoption, where the adoption triad, which is the adoptive parent, the adopted child, and the birth parent, have a relationship with each other that is beneficial and uplifting to everyone involved, especially the child, because it solves a lot of questions that the child might have later on as to why they were given up for adoption, why the parent wasn't able to keep them and they kept other children. And it also helps the birth parent know exactly where the child is and how healthy and the child is, and gives them an insight that they made the right decision. There's no regret as far as wondering if they made the right decision. There's no needing to figure out if the child that they're passing on the street is their child or not. You don't have to have that kind of angst and worry because you have a relationship that's already established with the child and the adoptive parent that is very respectful, but it also allows for pictures to be shared, memories to be created together. My daughter's birth mother and we get together once a year around her birthday. And they have a wonderful relationship that warms my heart. So your question about how to adopt, it depends on each country. It depends on each agency that you go to. You can do a private adoption between another individual, another family, or you can go through an agency, or you can go through an attorney. There are many ways to adopt, or you can go through the state or the city to do a foster care adoption.
Hmm, brilliant. Open adoption. You know, this is the first time I'll be hearing that word. Hmm, I never thought that could be
Yeah,
possible. Thank God I
it's
came
actually
across higher.
statistically, it's Oh, thank you. Statistically, it's the healthiest form of adoption. In the past, in say my parents' generation, people who were boomers, right? There was shame around the pregnancy, and you were not to tell people that you were pregnant. You got sent away to a school or to a cousin or aunt in the wood, far away that no one knew, so that you could come back 9 months later and assume your life like nothing happened. And a lot of times those babies were born into orphanages or convents and stuff like that, where they kept really close ties or knots on the information. And when you have that kind of information not being open, and the birth parents and adoptive parents can't share, and the child grows up later wanting to have contact and have questions answered, it leads to uh, mental issues. It leads to depression. It leads to all these things that don't need to happen. Because if you're just open from the beginning, that means that there's no shame, there's no guilt, there's no secret. And it's just something that is how you started your family.
Brilliant, I got that. But I believe there will be some misconceptions. Can you talk to us about some, or the most common misconceptions about open adoption, and how do you address them?
Yeah, I think one of the biggest misconception is that the birth parent will want the child back or will take the child back. That's not possible. The once the adoption is finalized, it's it. That's it. The birth parent's rights are terminated as part of the process of the adoption, and the parental rights are granted to the adoptive parent. After that, there's no taking back a baby or anything like that. I think most birth parents just want to know that their baby is happy, healthy, and that what they imagine for their child is actually happening for their child. So that if you are a teenage mother unable to give the child that you birth the life that you wanted, but you can envision that child being in a family, whether with two parents or a single parent, being able to have the life that you dream for them, then that's something that will make them very happy. For instance, my daughter and I'm someone who traveled. I told you that in my opening. I love travel. So I took my daughter with me everywhere I could. In before the pandemic happened, we had been to 5 countries, right? So a teenage mother is not going to be able to do that for that child.
Wow, amazing. You see, I think open adoption is more preferably, and the reason why I said that is some folks want to adopt, but they are having this restraint because they say things like, what if in the future something happens and the parents came all of a sudden, or the child start requesting, I want to go meet my papa, I want to go meet my mama. And that's why most of these folks do not want to adopt. But getting to discovery about this open adoption stuff, I think this one is really, really preferable. I tell you, since there is an agreement between both parties, and you mentioned how yourself, your daughter, and her birth parent get to meet each other once a year. That's a good one. I love that. I love that. Okay, so let us
Yeah,
talk
if
about.
there's no,
Okay,
so go ahead.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm listening, please. I'm listening to you. You wanted to say something.
I was just going to say, to your point, right? If there is no secret and if it's not a big deal and you introduce it early on in the child's life, it's just another thing. There's no big deal about it. And so I told my daughter about her adoption and how I was not able to have a child, and another woman blessed me. God put us together and she was able to gift me with her, and that's how my family was born. And we celebrate the fact that this wonderful woman chose me and her daughter to be a family. So there's no apprehension, there's no jealousy. There, it's just a gift of grace that we're dealing from. If you start from a position of grace, then you can only go better, get better.
A gift of grace. I got that. Okay, so let us look at the financial consideration. All right. What financial considerations should single women keep in mind when considering adoption?
Yeah, so I mean, everything is on you, right? There's no partner to share the bills with. That also means that there's no partner to help make decisions. So you have to make the decisions and you're the decision maker. But you should be ready to have a home study, and that has a fee, a cost associated with it. You should be ready to have all your taxes in place. You should have health insurance in place for yourself and the child. You should have at least one other bedroom. If it's a same sex child, they will allow you to adopt with just one bedroom. But if it's a opposite sex child, you'll have to have another bedroom. So you might have to move. You should have savings. They're going to be looking in your savings to make sure that you're not going to take on this child and then have to get services because you couldn't afford it. Adoption is not cheap. It can be up to $30,000 here in the States, and it depends around the country, around the world. And there are lots of rules around adoption, especially adopting children, obviously, because there is a great need to protect children from anything and anyone who would have a not a great desire or have an ulterior motive for adopting a child. So you want to be able to have a job that allows you some flexibility. You want to have people in your life that can help you with babysitting. And when you need to take off for a doctor's appointment, you need a boss who's understanding. You need coworkers who can step in for you. You need a church or synagogue or religious belief system that can help you through the tough times, because a lot of times it is only you. However, I always say you may be single, but you're not alone. You have to create a community of other women, other mothers, other parents with a full husband and wife. You want it all. You want a full complement to help you with raising your child. And you also want godparents who are there to support you and to be a support and guide for that child, especially of the opposite sex of the child.
Brilliant. That's a lot of important informations that you gave out. And it tells that you're so passionate about this stuff. I love that. So let us talk about your baby for a moment. You mentioned how she influences you. Can you tell us a bit about her?
Oh, she's just wonderful. She's a light. She's funny. I homeschool as well, so I take a big responsibility for her education. Yeah, it's we're we're able to travel because she is homeschooled. We are now right now on vacation at a farm in Virginia, that a friend who is so dear to me invited us to come, and she's like a godmother to her. And so my daughter's out on the field playing with the dogs and feeding the cows and the sheep, and she's a nature girl. So she's just as at home at a farm or on the beach. She's a wonderful
Brilliant.
little,
Nature girl,
beautiful
I got
soul.
that. That's a
Yeah,
that's a good
beautiful
one.
soul.
That's a good one. What's her name?
Ife, which means love.
Okay, yeah, you mentioned that before we came in. Ife, love. Woo! Beautiful
Mhm.
name. I love that. So we have one more question to go. All right. So what inspired you to walk away from a potentially career-defining role in Hollywood, and how did that decision shape your future? Can you talk to us about it briefly?
Sure. Yeah, as I told you, I've done many things in my life. I was an actor starting out in college. I was doing it, and I was on my way to get my MBA and fell into an incredible acting opportunity over the summer while in school, and declared to my mother I wasn't going back to school. I was going to become an actress, and she said absolutely not. And I'm glad she did. I went back to school, got my MBA, and but as soon as I got that MBA, I started acting, and so for many years I was going on auditions and having just a wonderful time in the world of acting. I got a booked a great gig with a top comedian, uh, but they did a little switcheroo on me at the very last minute. Right? They at the audition they told me, "Oh, the script is very confidential, but you'll get a copy of it when you get to the set." Well, when I got to the set, the script was something that I absolutely was completely against. It was very sexual in nature. And I felt duped. I felt like they did that on purpose in order to make sure that at the very last second, I would feel so intimidated by the process that I would not walk away from the reading table, the table read. And I called their bluff. I did walk away, and I went straight to my agent. I said, I'm not saying this, because I could see forward, even at that time, that everything lives forever on the internet and on cable, and they will run it forever and ever. And I didn't want to embarrass my family. I didn't want to embarrass myself. And it was something I just did not believe in. So I stood up for myself. And I think that's something that many younger women need to do more often. We need to be encouraging them to do that, to stand up for yourself if it doesn't feel good, doesn't feel right. If someone's taking advantage of you, if someone is making you put you in a position where you are diminished and demeaned, then you walk away, even if it means it's the best gig of your life. And so I left with my dignity. That same comedian has talked about his experience and how it was one of the most demeaning times of his life. So I just, it's validating, but I didn't need his validation to do all, to say all of that, right? But all of those things, I've walked away from other auditions as well. And that led me to be fired by my agency at one point because I guess I had too much of an opinion, right? But when you have an opinion, you have who you are. And we can't forget to stick with our opinions and let them form and guide us on our journeys in life. And that's how I decided to become a single mom, pretty much. I decided to do what was right for me.
Beautiful. I love your policies, all right? And you stick to them strictly. And that's how it should be. You know what you want, and no one can intimidate you to do what you don't want to do. And that's good. I love that. And you're right. I feel like most young women too, they have to have these policies that will guide them. You know, at times I wonder, do these folks even think about the future at all? Maybe because of the how big and important the gig is. They, but I get it. So to bring this to an end, Ayo, what would you like to leave the audience with, like a final thought? And to those ones who would like to reach out to you, learn more about what you're doing, you've said so many amazing stuffs and it resonated and they would love to learn more. How can that be possible?
Yes. Well, if you are a single woman looking to become a mother and you're considering all of your options, I would love for you to consider adoption. I always say fertility is a when, or sorry, I should say fertility is an if you will become a mother, but adoption is only a when. It is a guarantee for the most part. And I hope that you will join me on this incredible journey. You can go to openadoptionsuccess.com and you can read all about my journey and the work that I do to help other women. There's a questionnaire on there that I've taken a lot of time to formulate questions that will help you when you answer them to decide if this is the right way for you to go. When there's no right or wrong answer, when you finish the questionnaire, book a call with me. We'll walk through them and then we can start talking about working together privately. I'm also so excited about She's Extraordinary. It's a women's empowerment summit that's happening in February of 2025. And you can go to she'sextraordinary.com to find out more. And it's exactly what we've been talking about today, empowering women from all ages, from 30 to 60, to take charge of your life, to live the life of your dreams, become independently wealthy, and to just inspire the next generation behind you.
Next generation, I got that. So that's gonna be the end of the show, Ayo. Thank you so very much for coming, and thank you for educating me and the audience. Thank you so much.
You're so very welcome. Thank you so much.